Hello everybody, and if you are listening to this, then it's working, and we are joining us on the commentary of the final round of the LGT that was played. What was it? When was it played, Sherwin? It was quite recently. Like in 2021. So my name's Paul, and I ran the event. And what you're seeing on the screen here is the final game being played. Of the guy in the red shirt there is Paul, the man who would be King Godbold, versus Sherwin, the cult of personality, Matthews, and he's got this very nice tattoo going on, as that we can see in the top of the screen there. And they are playing a matchup which was Sherwin was using Cathay and Paul was using Orcs and Goblins. And joining me on this commentary is the man himself, Sherwin.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. So what you've got here is a game already has gone underway for quite a bit by the looks of it. And we'll explain that and catch it up once we've done the preamble. Apologies, but I guess the first chunk of the video just didn't record well enough for us to make a video out of it. But we've got what we're given, and we've got the rest of the game going from this point onwards, going forward. So, just to give a bit more explanation, the London Grand Tournament, Warmaster London Grand Tournament, was a 32-player event, 5-round Swiss tournament. This scenario is the Capture the Tower scenario, written by a rules pack that I'd written up for it, which involves, controlling that central square right in the middle of the table, which is obviously even now has got like a lot of troops surrounding it. The idea is that you control that tower with 2 units where the enemy's not contesting you, not got them engaged, and that's scoring you scenario points, scenario points. And when you get to 10, you've won the game. You also get points for breaking the enemy, which gives you a score of a 4, and there's a way of also finishing the game as well. So you have to be careful that if you are behind, not to the points you get from the enemy doesn't mean you still lose anyway. The table so in this stage already a lot of the scenery's been moved around, so this was never my idea, and no, I've got no original ideas in me, but the scenery is 3D scenery, then with 2D scenery underneath it for the stuff that's interactive. So like there's a woods there that's empty at the moment, and there's troops over on another bit of scenery. And to just make it totally practical, you then remove the 3D scenery and give a 2D scenery platform underneath it, which is both. Then you've got the aesthetic of it looking nice, and it's totally practical as well, because who doesn't love 3D scenery? This is all my stuff that they're playing on, and the scenery was done by a friend of mine called Nick, and I'd commissioned him to really smarten up the scenery I had, because I envisioned hopefully we're going to get this on camera, and so it could be shared out with the community about like what Warmaster is or what Warmaster can be and what it can look like. For where we're looking on the right of the screen, you've got like the prize support table going off there, and the table 2 is off to the other side. You can also see a chess clock on one of the sides close to where table 2 is. That comes from my War Machine days of playing on times, because you then have an hour and a quarter of your time in the clock to play your turn. So when it's flipped at the moment, it's as we're seeing right now. It's Paul's turn. So that guy in the red shirt, the clock is on him. He's making his moves, and Sherwin is like rolling the dice, as appropriate. And then when Paul's finished his turn, he'll flip the clock back to Sherwin, and that's how the time goes. If you run out of time on the clock, you end up losing the game. But that is, I've always found that a clock mechanism solves a lot more problems than not having a clock. And plus, it forces results. If you run an event, you need rounds to finish, and you want results. You don't want endless draws or non-finished games, and that's exactly what the clocks do. So in events that I run, they always have clocks, basically. Right, I've talked for loads. Sherwin, speak up.
So I mean, we're enjoying. I don't know what turn this would be, but this is obviously underway. So I believe Paul went first in this particular game, but he managed to move up and actually had quite a successful first turn, moving everybody forward, which was obviously good in terms of for the Orc player. Quite surprising as well. The big sense of surprise on Paul's face as we sort of stormed forward. And I think everybody, including Boar Boys, Orcs, Goblins, everything, just managed to move into position.
Hang on. What was that?
Yeah, so 3, 2, 1, resume. So as I was saying, I'm just trying to look sort of roughly work out where we are in this. So Paul had a tremendous first turn in terms of moving everything into position. My army was actually quite similar. We didn't have too many command issues in the first couple of turns anyway that memory serves, which obviously is good for the Orc and Goblin player. So just looking at what you're seeing over here, because obviously it's a bit more difficult to see. So Paul's army starting from left to right. So in the wooded area, the piece of terrain that's been lifted up, you see quite a few different brigades in there. That's actually a bunch of goblins hiding in the forest. The unit that charged into into that sort of square block of my troops in the middle, the Terracotta Warriors, is some Orc boys, I believe. You've also got a few different scattered around. You can see some cavalry bases up on the hill, off to the side to the left of that. Sorry, slightly to the right of that main clump around the tower. Those are Wolf Riders. Also, what Paul is currently leaning over is a whole herd of boar boys, which are pretty scary things to have sitting on the horizon, right about there. And there's a couple of wyverns dotted around, which obviously you can see the large winged creatures.
Yeah, at least they pick up.
Yeah, exactly it. Looking at my guys, so you've got, let's see, working from left to right, you've got, so in the middle of the table, off to the one side of the wooded area, is Light Cavalry. Then you've got some Chariots slightly above that area. There's some artillery which have taken onto the hill, so that's 2 rocket launchers and then 2 units of triple bows, i.e. bolt throwers. Around the middle of those sort of beige columns, they're all Terracotta Warriors, so basic halberdiers but undead. The row is the long row of 3 units are crossbowmen. And then you've also got obviously some more Terracotta Warriors on the hill. I think they're not far off getting about to get charged. And then you've got some cavalry units as well that you'll notice just behind them ranked up. Off to one side of where I am, you can see that there's the 3 cavalry stands that have been killed, which I've been moving around as we've been talking, and then some Terracotta Warriors, because I normally, as I play, I form them up into units to make life easier for the people to understand where the breaking point is and so on. Especially when you've got so many units of Terracotta Warriors, keeping track of them as you go is almost essential. In terms of looking at what's happening now, obviously it's Paul's turn. So the interesting point, this is I think when the boar boys are about to charge my cavalry and do no end of trouble to them if memory serves. The one icon, you see a circular token next to one unit of them. They've been hit by the Lion Dog's attack spell. There's that charge, is going to hurt. Spoiler. So that basically stops them from charging. It's much like Doom and Despair, I think. And so on. Domination, I think, is the other one. So at this point, I've taken the tower, which obviously I'm picking up points here and there, doing these bits. And then in terms of the rest, I kind of had sent some Terracotta Warriors forward to really soak up a charge, the inevitable charge of the Orc Warriors in the middle, reasoning that they'd want to do some mischief. The cavalry had actually managed to get the drop on some of the Wolf Riders, which was cool. Here's me in my very War Machine terms trying to demonstrate the importance of Paul not bending tape measures. I'm sure, for the sake of preciseness, which he in a very friendly fashion said, I appreciate that, but I'm thinking you're taking this too seriously. I hate bending tape measures. It's one of the...
It's your pet peeve.
I come from the same background as you, Paul, so having played in quite a few events, this is not my first rodeo. Like, people bending tape measures is the most imprecise way to measure anything, I think.
100%.
Always use proxy bases and pre-measurement game. But anyway, so we've done this. So what had actually happened here, I'd managed to form up my archers. This is quite actually key important. So they'd managed to escape from the attention of the boar boys earlier on, which is nice to form up that sort of back line. That's going to come quite important later on. But I'd managed to get the drop on some of the Wolf Riders with my cavalry on a lucky double order, I think, to start with early on, and sort of had done quite a bit of damage to them unexpectedly. The downside being that kind of left them out of position on the hill. Or at least in a more vulnerable place, so I couldn't really stop the inevitable boar boy charge. But at least that kept the boar boys out of just slamming into the middle area. One of the things my Terracotta Warriors would not appreciate, despite the fact that The whole army is built around them being a real tar pit. Is they cannot stand up to heavy cavalry in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Which is something I was always trying to keep clear. The light cavalry, I must admit, in this particular game, I wasn't 100% sure what they were going to do.
Yeah. So, but that's sometimes it's inevitable. Like in some games, is that you bring to an army, like you bring to the table your toolbox of things,
right?
And not everything. But that's like the point. They have a points value of you creating an army list, but then there is also the game points value in terms of like, well, what is most valuable here? Like for a very obvious example, so Paul has got 2 terror causing characters. Say you have an army that's undead and you don't suffer from terror, their value it goes less, because that's their main thing, is to cause an attack modifier out that isn't going to ever happen. So yeah, it's sometimes you have to change your army, don't you? As in, okay, what is of value here? Like Skaven are the classic thing where, because they can chase anything as a game mechanic to make Skaven work, because they're all infantry, suddenly things like light cavalry aren't the normal strong unit they might be against infantry, because they can be chased and they're not carrying a lot of armor. They're light cavalry.
Yeah, and I think that's certainly true. I hadn't. See, there we are. That's going to just hurt. No. I must admit, playing Cathay, I kind of assume that anything that I have that gets charged just dies.
Yeah.
You're playing with sheer volume of bodies as much as anything.
Yeah, because you're running this list is at a breakpoint 15, isn't it? Is that right?
14 for this particular variant.
14. Yeah, so it's high. Most Warmaster armies tend to. I looked at all the lists of the tournament, and most Warmaster armies are about a breakpoint of 10. 10, 11. 9.
Yeah, the real focus I had with this list was to make something where I have a lot of Terracotta Warriors, so 12 units of them, and they march into the middle of the table as a big tar pit for the enemy, really holding any objectives or just presenting themselves to be a problem. They are quite unrelenting. They're undead, so you could hit them with whatever missile fire you want, and they just simply don't care. They keep on advancing, and then on the flanks, I'll have the cavalry on one side, the artillery and chariots on the other. Light cav generally tend to float around as needed. And that kind of channels everybody into the middle where they hit the target and then get flanked by the hammer. Which is very oversimplified, but simply one of the things I believe quite a lot when I'm making armies and playing them is to make something which is really straightforward. The more convoluted your battle plan becomes, the more moving parts it has to just really go wrong and drop off.
Yeah, completely.
And so, and that even extends to me to the point of saying, well, do you know what? Let's not try to make any really clever units where I've kind of got everything moving in column. I have one unit in the middle, 2 things either side, or whatever else. Simply put, for the most part, this is a big block of this type. It's much more straightforward to me to move around and do things with. So that's generally how it works. There'll be an Elsa pause break now while Paul opens the can of things.
Damn right.
So anyway, so these Boar Boys have obviously just literally slammed into what we're looking at here. I'm pretty sure my cavalry is not going to be walking.
And he puts terror causing characters in there as well.
He does, but I mean, again, as I said, I don't really think there's much left of these guys.
He's overkilling it.
Yeah, and this is a crucial point here. Like you can see, there's only one stand that survived that particular charge there, and then this is a mess that just kind of gets a bit crumpled up, to be honest.
So I'll explain some rules mechanics as we go along, like as they pop up, because maybe you're listening to this and haven't actually played Warmaster and not sure of 100% of the rules mechanics going on. So we've spoken about break in an army. That is where you add up all your units, you divide it by 2, round up. It gives you the break point of your army, and basically when you've lost that many units, your army retires, because that is Warmaster. And most armies, like in an ancients world, they don't hang around till they've taken 90% casualties. They go long before that. So when we say break, that's what we're meaning, is how close the army is to being defeated.
Yeah, so interesting point actually that should come out of those 2. I don't mind putting it on the screen, Paul.
Let's have it. I'm doing it too.
Those 2 round circular tokens there mean those 2 cavalry units are confused. Which is obviously not ideal for them. I actually have a character in the back one as well.
I can see it.
My
just
hero,
make him out.
My hero riding a tiger, which is not feeling quite so brave at this point. But
so interesting here, because like Paul's put a lot of emphasis on attacking your stuff, and it's not interacting with the tower. So he's damaging you. He's doing work in that way, but he's not projected everything he can at just the sole objective of capturing the centre there.
Yeah. So there's an interesting point with this. So I mean, you know as well as I do that the way to really win Warmaster against a big clumped infantry block is to flank.
Yeah.
And one of the things that this army you're very familiar with, and this army is that it's very good at, is because it's so massive.
Yeah.
It's very hard to flank because there's so many units. And,
definitely. Like if you don't give an opponent if you give one long continuous battle line that's just hard to get round, that's good play.
So and exactly it. Now you can't necessarily see that quite so well because at this point the terracotta units are broken up, but there's a lot of meat in that middle to break through.
Exactly.
And one of the things that you can rely on against an Orc and Goblin army, and I kind of worked this out quickly, is not having enough command to really pivot on the point. They're not elves.
No, they're not. They're not good. They're very unlikely to pull off like 3-order moves here to like skirt around and get into the rear. Orcs and Goblins have some of the worst command going. An Orc General has only command 8. He's got 8 heroes and then 7 and 6s and 5s even on some like a Goblin Wizard. I believe. So
you're really looking at them to do the half pace moves that happen if you have a failed order. So just looking at this, I'd moved the Light Cavalry and the Chariots almost as a threat to anything that might try to flank me on that side. On the opposite side, I'd put the cavalry there to kind of take position by charging into the Wolf Riders to stop them causing too much mischief. And then the Terracotta on that hill, they were there because they also got the drop on some Wolf Riders, which was quite nice. But also they served as quite a nice blocker from being able to flank my other side, which was quite useful. Now, there's going to at some point, I don't know Paul's thinking process for this. What I imagine he's doing at this point is he's thrown a lot of his effort at trying to capture that hill because then he can flank me after succeeding there.
So there you paused, or you were doing something on the clock there. So do you remember what that was about? Like, was it you're asking a rules question?
It was a rules query, yeah.
So in this case, the players have paused the clock while there's obviously some rules question coming up, and while they sort out that rules, they've decided to play it off the clock. Which is fair enough.
There was something for this particular match. Like that's not something that either of us did during the rest of the event.
Yeah.
But because it's the final, and we didn't
you wanted to get it right.
Want to be super clean.
Yeah,
so
of course.
If memory serves, this one was, I think, a discussion about. Oh, there's a few different clocks we had here.
So you've come to your conclusion. You've tapped play on the clock again. It's running. That's
pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So I think so. I mean, obviously, I'm not Paul, but I imagine what he's thinking was at this point is really to try and take out, do a whole bunch of damage to this stuff on the hill, because then in the subsequent turn you can then flank my units of terracotta.
Yeah.
I mean, they presented too much of a barrier for the most part to block anything.
Yeah.
And what actually happened over the course of the game, and obviously a slight spoiler here, but in throwing so much of his army at my kind of unit to try and break up that scoring monopoly I had in the middle of the tower, he kind of piecemeal destroyed a lot bits of his units, chipping off his own breakpoints.
So Orcs and Goblins, they don't have great armor stats. Like Boar Boys, for example, have 4 attacks, which is great. So they charge in, say in the open, or on an open field, it's like 15 dice, 5 each, but they only have 3 hits, and they've only got 5 up armor. They haven't got 4 up armor. They do take casualties back. It's I've tend to find Orcs and Goblins, like you can commit them strongly to a charge, but they won't be as strong again for any subsequent combats, because you'll have lost stands somewhere. It's and like even to average dice, you lose stands.
Yeah. So you'll notice at this point I've lost 2 cavalry units here up the top there. Put them together. I've not actually lost too many terracotta.
That was me trying to put
it's helpful. Quite frankly, that windmill I knocked over. I was on this table in round 4 and 5. Yeah. And that thing was the biggest barrier to my play in the entire thing.
So that's magnetised that windmill. Yeah. So that was me trying to put it back on, and then Sherwin took it back off again.
Absolutely.
Never mind.
Yeah. So
because my role in this, so I'm the TO. I'm running the event, but I am back and forth answering rules questions, and also playing a casual game of one of the players as well, like who had pulled out of round 1 and come back and for health reasons, and came back in day 2 and just wanted a casual game. So why not? And in going forward in the future, the next LGT is the 1st and 2nd of October. That's right. And that is going to be, I'm going to run it at 64-man event. I'm going to try for it. Will I get 64 players? I don't know. But at this one, there wasn't internationals at this event. Now there could well be next time, hopefully, touch wood, life's fine again for everybody, and then you get a lot of internationals turning up, which would be amazing if it could happen. We shall see.
Yeah, so if we quickly go back to the game, so you see the Boar Boys have come in, smashed 2 units of cavalry quite effectively. They're then positioned off to one side. I think I'd done enough hits back to them that it wasn't advantageous to keep pushing, otherwise they start being damaged units and so on. This will come back because ultimately it's not a bad tactical decision by Paul by any stretch of the imagination, especially because my 2 units of cavalry here are both confused. But their positioning here actually is going to win me the game.
Right, okay.
Which is really interesting. So, but anyway, these other units in front of the Terracotta Warriors, there are Wolf Riders, and we also said we've got some things that are charged in here. So yeah, at this point, these Orcs have slammed into the middle now. They've wiped out the other unit exactly as I thought they would. They've just killed the buffer units that I put there. They've pushed back other stuff, and now they're about to smack into.
What you've managed to do well is you're defending the tower in depth. So you've got guys in front that he's going to have to get through.
That was the plan.
That's sound tactics here, because it's like you're going to score if you're holding that tower and he's not contesting it, and he's contesting it if those units are fighting. This
is what I forced him to have to do. Not only did he have to think about how he wanted to take care of the flank, but also had to contend with the fact that I'm just consistently scoring up but not even doing anything.
Exactly. It's like Warmaster, so it doesn't have a turn limit in Warmaster. Is in there are some you can play the game with like a 6 turn limit if you wanted, or maybe more, or 6 to 8. In the British UK scene, we've never really gone for that. We've just gone to play to the game's conclusion, and we use a clock as its conclusion. So like Sherwin is not going to run out of like he can sit there and score on this tower as many times until he's won it. Like that's not going to be a problem for him.
And because I had the larger army here, which is obviously quite a thing against Orcs and Goblins, it's something where I could do that. So we're going to see a few bits and pieces of trading stuff around now, but Terracotta Warriors they can't hold up to anything.
336.
336. I mean, their chief strength is that they don't suffer tear up, and they're not going to get driven back.
They've got the undead rules.
The flip side is that you don't have any initiative, and crucially in this list, they can only be ordered by your sorcerers. So that makes them quite difficult to move. In the previous game, played against Nick, which I was quite lucky to walk away with a win from, half of my army hadn't moved anywhere because I failed orders.
So Nick was using Tomb Kings, wasn't he? So it was there was undead on versus statues in that matchup.
Right, exactly. So as you can see, like this has really smashed back those units already straight away.
Sorry, I should say on the so these games are this is Warmaster Revolution, so a version of the game that a Warmaster Rules Committee has helped create, and it's got a few changes from, you could call it original or vanilla Warmaster. One of the big changes is a max of 2 rounds of combat for a unit. So that is going to, like in this situation of the scenario, that's going to help Sherwin, because Paul can't get into a combat and just endlessly grind through it like in original Warmaster could.
And it's also worth pointing out what we're going to start to see happening. A few things here is, unfortunately enough, lots of Orcs, as you said earlier, they're very they've got like a 4-3-6, I think.
Orc infantry, 4-3-6.
So 4-3-6. So they're really good at charging and doing some damage. That 4 really feels it, but they also at the same time, even if my guys are just rolling your
average dice,
I'm doing damage to them and I'm chipping away their hits.
Armor 6 on infantry does not make them heavy infantry.
Exactly,
they take damage.
Exactly as I said. And in this case, I'm just literally throwing. Well, in this case, pottery. The problem. And they might be doing 1 or 2 hits here, but that does start to trip away at the army, and that's effectively what happens to Paul's army over the course of this game. He starts losing. He starts losing troops.
I mean, and that so when in Warmaster, when you start losing troops and you lose stands, that means command penalties. He can act on initiative, but he's got it's always charging the closest things. He's not got any true control over it. And when you've got a poor leadership army, like command army, like Orcs and Goblins, taking some casualties is hard to all of those things to do anything but just go forward, at the enemy again.
And you can see my saves there. I think most of them I'm rolling about 1-6 on every single one.
So in terms of like the production of this, it would be cool to have a dice camera. It might be hard if say both players were rolling in the same dice camera and like off to the side. Like I've seen how GW does with their their like professional videos. It would be cool, but I think what warrants better is this method of recording some commentary after the game, so the players can at least stake out their intentions of what they're doing. Because I'm sad Warmaster's a 10 mil scale game. Yeah, it's hard to sometimes to pick up on the camera what exactly everything is. But if you've got the players themselves like talking about it, then that was all the explanation you need. So yeah, it's like this is very much for me like a learning process of filming stuff of what comes across well on camera, what makes a good YouTube video. I mean, please, if you have ideas, put it in the comments. That's what they're there for. I'm just I'm trying to put out what I wanted with this thing is I wanted people to see it in terms of like, look, this is what you could do, Warmaster could be. It's not only does it look pretty, but it plays awesomely as well. It's like this is what the game could a standard of what the game could be. And like I'm a big fan of Guerrilla Miniature Games is a YouTube video, and watching Ash's video on Epic Armageddon made me want to play Epic Armageddon again, and I did.
So just quickly, you see me there counting the amount of units that have been destroyed. We're now up to 5.5. So 2 units Cav, 3 units of Terracotta, and then 1 half unit of that. And just adjusting my dice. The large green and white dice just in front of the clock are the breakpoints, which I kind of kept track of during the game. And you can see the damage those Boar Boys are doing. But crucially, one of those Boar Boy stands got removed during that charge.
Do you remember in this game? Did you have the first turn? Do you remember that?
I think Paul
did. Paul have the first turn? Yeah.
Paul has a massive scouting value due to all those Orc Riders.
Yeah.
I know I set up first. I believe he did otherwise.
Yeah.
I have no idea what this conversation is that's happening now.
It's just like, there's a strong hand gesture there by Paul.
It's like, are you sure you want to do this? I do. I'm right down the middle. That's probably what it was. But yeah, as you can see, Paul. So he's lost, I think, 2 units of Boar Boys. I must admit, Paul was a really great, really knowledgeable opponent. I was actually learning some of the game rules through this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really nice of him. I think that might have been the one where I'm like, oh, so how does this work? Just explaining it. Because he had lots of patience to.
So Paul was the defending champion. He won the last LGT. Didn't play in 2020 for obvious reasons, but he won it in 2019. And so his moniker of the man who would be king is well earned. But he's a lovely guy. He's like,
he really is.
And it's the same. Like in the future, it'd be cool. Like with these kind of, if this method of recording works, is to get both the players on a mic somehow, and them talking at the same time about the game, because then you can, what are we doing here? Like the back and forth. Like it'd be good to hear. It would be great to hear Paul's point of view of like what he's thinking about it.
Yeah, I think so. I'd be really interested to hear that. Yeah. So one of the things. Just at this point as well, I can see myself pointing out which unit is which on here, because my units actually have a thing painted on the back, so I can tell which ones are which. Paul was really effective during this game at eliminating like whole units. But one thing I noticed across the whole event when I was playing sort of stronger opponents, and that's there's no slight to anybody else, but you find that the real top end players, they will doggedly eliminate your units. Yeah, because one by one to break point.
In Warmaster, most things are 3 stands. If you lose a stand, it doesn't it's casualties, but it won't score you anything. You lose 2 stands, so you're down to 1 stand. That gives you a half a break in Warmaster Revolution. But full units are a point, and those finishing off units is a key thing to do, because that's how you're going to win the game ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd had a few. I was fortunate in the sense that because my army had, I think Paul's army was breakpoint 11. So
that rings right. Yeah. I remember his list. It was a 2 Wyvern, a lot of Boar Boys kind of Orc list. I mean, basically probably as good as Orcs get really as a list, I suppose.
Sort of elite,
they're not an elf army. They're definitely not like tier 1.
Yeah, and that's something where.
In fact, I'll speak about that. It's like the range of armies we had at this event was great actually, and going into round like the second round. So like my 4 unbeaten players of day 2 were using Orcs and Goblins, Cathay, a Goblin army, and it was a Tomb King army, and it was. They are not like rated. I mean, obviously Cathay is an experimental list, but it's not the best army list out there.
It's a variant on,
it's,
ultimately,
yeah.
Cathay, truthfully, is a variant on humans.
Yeah.
Sorry, on Empire.
Yeah,
it's
on
a very
Empire,
similar creature. It's like,
Yeah.
you've got the halberdier stat, you've got the crossbowman stat,
Yeah.
you've got, cavalry that's less effective. Like there's
I thought that was fantastic because it was like, oh look, where's our dark elves, where's our high elves, or it's like, they were at the event, the army list, but they did not make, they were beaten by this point. So I think that's great for the system. I mean, say going forward, like LG 22, 64 players, it sells out, there'll be like prizes for best in faction. It would be cool to see every faction get played.
I think you've definitely got a real shot at that at 64 players.
Yeah.
Especially when you realise that even goblins, who people mostly just vilify, are up there.
Yeah.
So you can see Paul's done a tremendous job of smashing my guys back from the tower at this point.
So right now, Sherwin doesn't have 2 units controlling that tower. Like I think he's got 1, or maybe that stands still touching. But
you're about to see that get clarified.
That get clarified. Yeah.
But
so because that's the scenario rules, is you've got to have 2 units that aren't engaged touching the tower. Now that tower is from a company called Spellcrow. Polish?
Sorry if you're not.
Yeah, sorry if you're not. But they've been fantastic at one of the many companies that promoted prize support, and because their tower was 10 mil scale, and in their range they do. Also, it's just I could get enough of it basically. Because obviously this really cool Forge World piece on the right hand side of the table, that's a lovely thing, but I'm not going to find 32 Forge World towers
or 64 for
I just won't. But I can get hold of these much more these currently on sale Spellcrow towers, and that's how they donated prize support. When they asked what would I like, I was like, actually what I want is multiple copies of that thing, so I can put them on every table, because that is then everyone's playing fairly of the same thing.
So one of the things which you'll notice is quite exciting here. Well, exciting being an interesting thing, depending on whether you're me or Paul.
If you're watching this, you're going to find it exciting.
Well, if you're the Cathay General, about now you're finding it exciting, because those Chariots, good timing from Paul there. Those Chariots are waiting as a hammer blow to sort of charge in afterwards and see what you can do. You can see my army. I said I have a breakpoint of 14. I certainly don't have that anymore at this point. No, you just lost a few things.
Lost a few guys there. Totally.
Again, I throw bodies at the problem, and that makes them generally go away.
But that's a tactic. You set up counter charges in Warmaster. As in, I will fight here, and and then it'll be countercharged by something I've set back here to do their job. As Chariots are line breakers. The scenario is purposely set up so there is free scenery. There's no scenery next to that tower that you've got to fight over, because that would be unfair if it were. Little blurb there. Using those Chariots to come in and counter is it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's an interesting point with the Cathay Chariots, because they have range attacks as well. So they've got you've got a few different ways you can do that. So
it's 5 up armor or 6 up armor?
5. They're the same as Tomb
King Chariots. Yeah.
So but if it's nicely, so you can see at this point we've got some interesting stuff about to happen. Paul was kind of forced back a bit from the continuing. Had run out of things to kill essentially, so went back to hold the tower and contest that. But those units aren't standing there of any support.
He's got. It looks like a line of orcs, 2 units of orcs and goblins.
There are some boar boys. I think they're the ones who are sort of butted up against that unit, so they're about to get dragged down and murdered. So at this point, at some point, I believe Paul's tactic kind of, I know it changed at the end, but it kind of went from, I'm not going to win this game on the tower. I need to try and get as many breakpoint as possible and win that way, which is how we're going to end. So at this point, I was kind of afraid of what's happening with those boar boys, obviously, and this I think is going to be the turn that's going to change everything. So let's just separate out that hero from that cavalry unit so he doesn't die, and in the meantime, let's think about how to move these light cavalry around. So one of the interesting things I like the most about the light cavalry is the fact that you can literally there's a point you get to where they just start using initiative movement to do everything they need to do.
So Warmaster Revolution has the light cavalry rules. So that basically means that light cavalry can initiative evade in any direction. It's beautiful. That is one of the all of the improvements of Revolution have been, I think, really good for the game. There's occasional little glitches there on the video that we're watching, so we'll pause when it goes through. But because they can evade in any direction, and I love that. I think that really gives Light Cavalry a role that they probably didn't have beforehand, where in terms of like, well, why would you have Light Cavalry when you can have Heavy Cavalry? What difference does, and we define Light Cavalry by cavalry having 6 up armor. Medium cavalry would be 5 up armor, heavy cavalry would be 4 up armor, but there's the specific like rules there for 6 up armor cav.
So you can see here, I had a couple of units of Terracotta on that hill, and we've basically just deployed them all at this point. So kind of at this point, I appreciate I've lost the hill. There's not much going on with this. I'm facing off against an awful lot of enemy cavalry. So at this point, I'm from my perspective, I'm thinking I need to break the stuff that's contesting this, and then reform up my lines again around this tower, and then try and protect this. So at this point, we've, as you can see, unfortunately, in every game I've played, whether it be Scorned Bronzebacks or Terracotta Warriors with long spears, nothing ever can face forward when it goes anywhere.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're just forming up and taking that tower. With this, always start with the Terracotta in this army because it's the Sorcerers, it's your lowest level of the chain, and also by nature of the fact that they are, again, as said, the tar pit. That kind of is what everything else is doing. One of the Janners to thank for that one. In the Friday, I played his Norse army. And one of the things I very quickly learned with that is very much don't commit piecemeal. I'd kind of had a lucky charge with the double or even triple move with the Chariots, who went steamrolling into his army. And then quickly got overwhelmed. And in retrospect, looking back on what did I learn from this, the simple answer is I went in piecemeal. I shouldn't have done that. And
also, it's similar. Like another thing that he would say.
Chariot charge
would be never reinforce failure.
Also true. So we're about to see a glorious chariot charge go in. Just a quick clarification, I think, from Paul as to how we're going to do it. I'm ashamed to say my tape measure was slightly bent when I did that. It feels a little bit awful.
Never mind. In they go.
So Chariots, I mean, they're doing the same thing as Chariots always do. So
statistically they are going to make a mess of that unit.
Mine aren't great at this, but we'd kind of got to a point where Paul had looked at this and said, they're just a win, aren't they? I'm like, yeah, they are. So that's kind of what those guys are doing.
So if you, that looks like you're going to have 30 dice on that one unit.
I had to roll my dice several sets of times over. Unfortunately, my light cav weren't in position to do anything, so they're just they had to get an order. But the intention was to.
Is that goblins down in the woods?
Yeah, the goblins are in the woods there. But look at this light cav. So that was a thing of true beauty. So
we'll get behind you. Giving you nowhere to go.
Yes, that was the thing. I kind of had backed off the Terracotta Warriors from this because I knew that the Light Cav can do that. There's an interesting point actually that although that was the tactically right decision to do, the Light Cav actually cost me quite a few breakpoints. Towards the end of the game, which actually was a bit dicey. Paul got very, very close to breaking me. And the thing that saved me was the fact that the Light Cav, he couldn't pursue them. So whilst they managed to pull that through there. But again, there's small pieces of piecemeal bits of his units here which are enough to make me worried.
So is Paul doing a tactic here of he's stuck the weakest stuff, which is units of goblins in a wood, and they are then going to spend the game hiding in that wood?
Well, they're forest goblins.
He's modeled them as forest goblins, but
I mean they're forest goblins.
They're forest goblins.
I couldn't honestly tell you what they look like, but they are effectively forest goblins. That's
I mean that so this is like a debate that splits players really. When you Orc and Goblin list has orcs in it and goblins as core troops. What do you do? What do you do with the goblins? I'm much more of the camp of, well, you can do something with them. They can support as well as Chaos Warriors. They can support as well as any troops in the game, but obviously they are very weak and they give away break points if they die. Other players do like what Paul's doing here, of they'll stick them in the perfect bit of scenery, completely within a wood, and they'll hide for the game and thus not give away their break, but also do nothing kinetic either.
You notice a lucky second order for this this Light Cavalry brigade. So I managed to get a flank charge on his Wolf Riders.
Oh, that'll hurt.
So that did that. You're also going to see these guys
Or you're making him, you're cutting off his head there. Like, it's a bit of delay on the video.
It'll catch up on the video that Barry's got. On top of this in a minute. But yeah, we because they didn't necessarily need to, because they're bringing into combat, they could break up at this point. So yeah, that's going to catch up hopefully with those guys, make their life a bit of a misery. But I kind of need to tie up these other units he has to stop them from being able to countercharge me afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. So is there a Wyvern in a unit that you've caught here? God. That's overkill, Sherwin. That is putting Light Cavalry behind six stands of Chariots.
After they broke up, though, they can go bounce off.
It's true, but it's like, if it was bad for that unit of Orcs, it's got it even worse.
Now at this point, the artillery decamped from the hill.
Okay.
Sort of dropping down. Some of them fell over there, obviously.
That's a particularly steep hill. That one.
Yeah, we had a conversation. Actually, fun enough, we had a conversation at the start where I kind of said, "So this is a hill, right?"
Yeah.
And Paul's like, "Sure, that's a hill." And I think he thought I'd been pointing at something else entirely. So I sort of moved my units onto it right at the start. And Paul's like, "Oh, that's impassable." I'm like, I wondered why you put everything in front of an impassable thing. I'm like, I thought this was a hill, and we were like, very quickly, it's like, they'll sit on it.
It's fine. That's good. Yeah.
He kind of looked and went, I've got a hill in my deployment.
Yeah.
It's fair that you have one as well.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
So, but at this point, really interesting fact about this, and one of the things I'm changing with this list is, I can't believe I thought I'd find myself doing this. This is key. So that's 3 units of crossbowmen.
Yeah.
And they'll obviously get to do their shooting. So this unit on the left is going to have to shoot at the unit with the Wyvern in it.
Yep.
And the other ones will shoot at the Boar Boys on their own.
Because in Warmaster you have to fire at the closest target.
So this is crucial to the game. Because simply put, without what's happening now, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Right,
Slight rules clarification, by the way, from Paul, which is it's done by unit versus stands.
Yeah.
But so thank you for Paul for telling me that. But basically had some fairly decent shooting here, but it's not so much about the fact of how many casualties I caused as much as I caused confusion on the Boar Boys before that. Yep. With basically this line of execution squad, archers, blasting away. So the first unit ended up being confused, and then you'll see in the next couple of turns, in the end of this phase, the sorcerers managed to cast the "You Can't Charge" spell on the other unit, which effectively negated the Boar Boys from being able to do anything.
Good.
Because otherwise they would have gone through my army like nothing.
Of course, yeah.
So that really helped, and that probably is the thing that won me the game, if I'm entirely honest.
So what, blunting his sort of next
well, at this point,
turn.
At this point, bear in mind he almost broke me with Light Cav alone. There's no way those crossbows stand up to those Boar charge. They'll just annihilate them, and they'll get 3 units straight away. That would have broken me.
Oh, okay, right.
So that's something where that was. Yeah, there you are. That's the "You Can't Charge Me"
You
spell.
can't charge me spell.
And the other unit's about to become confused in a second when we roll drive backs.
Fantastic.
So that really was key.
Yeah.
Because that forced Paul into making some very difficult decisions, having to focus on that charge. What was happening in the middle. Now, as a result of that, here we go. There's the 6.
There it is. Yeah, I saw the scorn.
Yeah, you saw the scorn badge.
Yeah, Sherwin's happy.
Yeah, I was very happy at that point. That was a lot of happiness. Yeah.
Oh, look, you mark it.
Yeah, both being this. Oh, I'm sorry, old boy. I'll mark this anyway. Yeah, so at that point, that took those guys out, and that was key. Because it forced Paul to kind of go, okay, I'm not going to get this flank this turn. I now need to look at the middle. And of course, in the middle, you've got a whole big chunk of Cathay who are living at large in that tower. So, and I think you're going to see in a moment, I kind of cleaned up the stuff around this tower.
I mean, to be honest, I would roll it because it's the final, but the combat of the chariots, I wouldn't even roll the dice.
That was a bit brutal.
I'd just roll my. If I was the Orc player, I'd just roll my dice.
I think to be fair, they took out a chariot.
I mean, but that's all I would do. I wouldn't even. You don't need to roll 30 plus another 12, 42 dice.
I think we have a clarification here. I'm not 100% sure what that was, but yeah. So we had some. Yeah, so I think these guys are going to force some stuff happening here.
Yeah.
And then we kind of did that. But one of the things, as I was just about to say, actually, one of the things that I found during this game especially, and also over the course of the event, my bolt throwers fired precisely once across 5 games.
Is that it?
Nothing got within 40 of them.
Nothing got within 40 of them.
The rocket launchers had a great
Yeah,
time.
they
really interesting point.
They unloaded their ammo.
Really interesting point at this great point. They became my absolute liability. With one break point left, I was too scared to fire.
Oh yeah, of course, because they might blow up. Yeah, and that would cost you the game. Yeah,
exactly.
Like, it'll cost you a break. Oh yeah, it's like direct order back. It was like, yeah, don't fire the rockets anymore.
Pour water over the fire.
It's like no, it's too dangerous.
Yeah, but so one of the things I did with the in the future list is I'll be getting rid of the 2 bolt throwers.
Okay. Because that's interesting because that is then play experience then is informing your list building.
I'll probably get rid of one of the units. I was thinking about this on the drive over. I'll probably lose the 2 units of triple bows.
Yeah.
One of the cavalry units. You don't need a big block of 3 cavalry is enough. Could do as much as a big block of 4 cavalry would do. And then probably one of the archer units that was very unwieldy, moving around, 3 lots of archers.
Yeah.
And I think what's that? It's going to make me up roughly about the points I need. Basically, one of the light cavalry units because I'm struggling to make them work in a really effective way.
Yep.
And then as a result, put in 4 units of bannermen and another 2 units of dishonored. So you've got a third big infantry block.
Okay. Yeah.
Into this, so
but a living infantry block. Yeah.
But which is also still fearless because the dishonored are at the front.
Yeah.
Can't be driven back, same as dishonored, and is more of a hammer unit.
Yeah.
So
and
at that point, you've got another big block for people to have to try and deal with.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Coincidentally, pushes up the break point to 50.
That's interesting because if I was building a Cathay list and I was gonna take the rockets, I would definitely take bolt throwers to protect them. But if you're saying you fire them once in 5 games,
because there's so much meat in the way.
Yeah, you just didn't need to.
That they never get in range.
Yeah.
Like the thing that's going to charge them is like something like flyers or whatever, but the archers can do the job.
Yeah, well, no, I mean that's experience there, informing your list building because it's like, well, I never actually fired these things, or fired them once. So it's like they're not worth the bringing to the table in your build. Yeah.
So the Boar Boys have just died. I think it was the Boar Boys who sort of charged ahead and done that. Bless them. That was kind of inevitable given these guys are moving around. They did a bit of damage to my army by those things doing that. And then I think you'll find we're probably going to carry on moving. We had a couple of rules clarifications here, mostly from Paul's side, I think, when it was to do with you come over at some point.
Yeah, I think I do. I remember that. Yeah,
to do with some of the units moving in because it was the order in which you have to combat and then follow up and then start the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to see a couple of those. But in typical Warmaster fashion, this is going to slow down into a bit of a grind because you've got so many blocks of infantry and units and so on going forward. So that's a good point. That's just being clarified through to make sure the movement's properly done properly. But
because you're moving them unit by unit.
Yeah, exactly. So they have to kind of maximise frontage and
where possible. Yeah.
Somehow we haven't done the inevitable chariot charge. That obviously didn't seem like it was enough of a dead cert for me. So I wasn't quite sure how that was going to go. Also crucial for anybody listening at home, and a little bit of a plug for Barry that'll make him smile. If you have a horde army, consider investing in some of Barry's movement trade. They are invaluable. Trust me, when you are pushing 28 units across a table, that's really helpful.
You want some movement trays, yeah,
you absolutely do.
Or make your own, like they'll be easy to make.
But we like Barry's, so buy Barry's ones. Good. Just ask them to make them a bit big because they come up small. Anyway, so that's either here or there. So what was kind of nice is getting to kill Wyvern in this turn because no one likes them. And
so clockwise, you are on 22 minutes and he's on 31.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, I was running out a little bit through sheer volume of numbers I'm throwing around. But what's quite nice about this game is that neither of us clocked out.
Yeah,
we got to a finish without having to run out of the clock, which was good.
Well, it's great. I mean, like nobody wants to win that way, as in win by, but it's necessary, as we spoke about earlier, for it to be there because otherwise some people just sadly are just slow players. They and then they can end up in these weird situations where they end up winning games they might not have done because
I think
it took them a long time to do it.
I'm definitely a massive proponent of clocks in events because it's the only fair way to do things. That said, I think there's the Warmaster community is relatively new to them, and I think it will take some getting used to for some more casual players. The thing that I think this event did, and it's certainly no disrespect to you or anyone, is that the rules pack didn't quite. I think there's a few subtle changes to make to the rules pack.
Yes, of course.
And the scenarios in it to give it a little bit more focus. My personal take is that you should look at breakpoint as never is the scenario objective. It's always something that can be achieved as well as the objective.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
Because effectively that's you're killing the king. In the chest.
Okay.
So, but what you're really looking to do is win on objectives. And I think that's the key thing. Because so many of the objectives.
So you're saying for this scenario, it would be that if you broke the enemy, it doesn't end the game. It scores you scenario points.
No, it's slightly different. So what I'm saying is breaking the enemy always wins you the game. Yeah. But it is never the objective of the scenario. Yeah. So if you think about our first day, we had a pitch battle. Yeah. We had second one was
meeting engagement. No.
Third one was meeting engagement, and the second one traitors.
Traitors. Yeah.
So all three of those effectively are a pitch battle.
Yes. Yeah.
So because of that, it encouraged lots of players to go down to the clock trying to break the opposition army. Yep. What I would do instead is make it so that all of those are scenario ones. Yep. So you're trying to win on scenario. Yep. If you break the opposition army, then you win anyway. Yeah. But the point is that it means that players aren't focused around that one thing, because otherwise it benefits armies with huge breakpoints too much. True. Which is something I've managed to benefit from in this particular event. Yeah. Cool. And it kind of keeps players sort of focused around what they're trying to do.
Yeah. So the rules pack that will be in play for LG22, I've already been given a date by Zach of when to have it done by, and that it'll be out next year. We've got a playtest date already booked in. Like to test out new scenario ideas. But what goes to print will be in print. Out to free to the community via the Facebook group by the end of January, because that's then going to be attached to the tickets for the LG22. Yeah. So whatever I come up with help, will be in play by then. It's
going to be the anonymously named Jim Shawinter.
All fun. I'm fine with that. But it's exactly because what I've tried to do with this game system, is I just want to present something that is the tournament I would want to attend. Basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's always been my aim of it. It's just like, if I was a player, what would I want out of a tournament? And that is in what type of event would I want to go to, and that is what I'm trying to do, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I see that as this is my thing to the community. In large is through circumstances and the podcast that I'm part of. That's why we're at the LGT in the first place. Is the podcast?
Just quickly, I think
they just exploded.
To be fair to him, Paul didn't make me roll the attacks.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's.
So you see, there's one chariot being killed there. We've also broke away. We've wiped out the other orcs in the middle. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. The light cav have now broken off.
Yeah.
We haven't done the combat just off to one side. That actually didn't go very well for me. Uh-huh. If memory serves.
So now you've got the tower on all four sides now.
Exactly it.
You are making it hard for him to
That was hence the point, and we're now about to form up as well to make a defensive line to stop people getting too far to it.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Okay. Strong.
Yeah, exactly. And this, I think, definitely is the point where. So the points where Paul really unfortunately suffered a lot was obviously the shooting. Had the units on the side been able to charge, then he's still got potential to do a flank.
Yeah.
He's still potentially got to take advantage of that. And his position wasn't wrong. Yeah. Just unfortunately, sheer unluckiness. Or more precisely, the wizards managed to do something. Took a couple of attempts to get it, and the archers through luck managed to stop him from charging there, which made my life easier.
Yeah. Exactly.
But at this point, the balance has shifted towards I'm not going to break that tower with the troops available to me.
Yeah.
I've got one unit of boar boys that can go in. I've got a unit of orcs. I've got these goblins who obviously aren't going to do anything. There's enough blocking units.
Because it looks like you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units touching that tower. Yeah. You need 2 of them to score it. So he's got to try and tag 4 of those 5 units. It's not going to do it.
And you can see here you've got also 3 units of light cav in the middle in front of it, so they're a buffer to stop initiative charges.
Orcs and goblins are obviously a living army. They suffer penalties for having enemy near. If he's not got and plus the light cavalry are going to be the closest targets for initiative.
And also goblin wolf riders are there too. They're the same as mine, so they're what 2-1.
2-1.
So same thing as what my light cav. My light cav are not great fighters. So it's really something where those Goblin Light Cav, they'd actually done an absolute number on me in game 3 with I think Declan's Goblins. He played those incredibly, and that's not to say Paul wasn't, but I was just stunned by how some of the stuff that Declan can get.
The work he was getting out of them.
They're amazing. He's a real master.
Well, Declan beat Janners. Yeah,
exactly.
and Janners is the goat.
He's a real master of how to use these things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see my Light Cav didn't enjoy that very much. So
now they got flanked.
They kind of charged in, bounced. They actually pushed, I think, back a little bit, but then unfortunately weren't able to break away. I think Paul actually knocked them back and then kept them in combat, and then the Orc boys kind of finished off.
There you go.
So that's
so do you remember where you are on scenario points at this stage of the game?
So they're actually recorded off to one side over here, I think, on the thing, but unfortunately I can't tell them.
No,
I think at this point,
were you always ahead?
If memory serves, I think I finished this game with about 4 and Paul had 1, I think, because he simply wasn't able to get to the tower to get it. And then, if memory serves, I know I ended on 9. So it's whatever you get 4 for a general kill.
4 for break. Yes, 4 for a general kill.
Yeah, so I must have ended on 5 then, because I killed his general in the last thing.
There you go.
But unfortunately, Paul had to. Paul got to the point where, look, I need to commit my general.
Yeah, it's time to do it. You lose. There's no scales of loss. There's just losing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I must have finished on 5, and I think he had 1 at the end. So yeah, but again,
but you said you were 1.
I was 1 break point away. Then that score 100% doesn't tell the story of it.
No, God no. So because if he had broke, if you were on 5 and he was on 1, and he had broken you, it would have. Oh God, you would have ended 5-5. Yeah. How would I have told the difference then?
He would have won the game, Paul.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
What's nice actually about this game, this is actually not a rematch because we're using different armies. Yeah. But this is Paul was my last opponent in the last event when my Albion versus his High Elves. He'd already won the event at that point. And I'd managed to get up to the point of wherever in the tables, and he beat me in that game. I couldn't make him command checks to send my Fem Beast into one of his units, which was unfortunate. So at the end of this, I kind of joked, well, we're 1-1 now, so next time round is the real showdown.
That's you know how to bait him there. He'll remember that, definitely.
So
he'll be back.
He'll be back with some elves.
Well, fair play to him. I mean,
I know.
It's all, as I say, it's all legit. People should never feel like there was quite a few Wood Elf players at this event, and obviously that Forest Dragon has made a beautiful range of Wood Elves, but it's they're part of the game.
Wood Elves are a real Wood Elves are a real modeller's army. I'm very, very impressed with them in terms of the actual range of models anyway. And I think, to be fair, Wood Elves are one of the most interesting armies, I think, mechanically in the game at the moment. I think for me that the most I'd say Cathay because obviously I'm playing them, but they're actually relatively straightforward compared to the others. I think the Wood Elves and the Nippon armies are the most mechanically interested to me at the moment to look at, and that's because some of the fresh approach to what Jim and the Doctor, of course, the good Doctor, have taken with this and really kind of give an interesting spin to these armies. I think is really cool, especially the Nippon demons. They look they're really fun, and I think they add extra depth and different ways to play the game where it's not. We've all played a lot of the old GW systems, like the old Dwarf Blood Bowl team, where there's only one way to play that army. Or
there's a wrong way.
And I think what's interesting though is they give you real choice, which I really like. So they definitely fall into that, which is quite nice.
Well, I've always thought that the best Warmaster army lists are ones where there's several different builds contained within that. And it might be down to the points, like Chaos, for example, have some really good troops that are expensive. They're always, there is more than one way to build that. So we're about to switch out video. So this is we'll jump now to another recording, and we are back in the room.
So let's have a quick look, see where we're going. So
time on the clock is you've got 16 minutes 35 seconds. It's obviously Paul's turn. He's on 26 minutes.
Yeah. So So
look at game state, like where they're from like outside looking in, it looks pretty grim for Paul.
Well, he's got the there's a charge into those Terracotta Warriors. I think at this point, Paul started to commit a whole bunch of his troops into basically he's had to send the Wolf Riders in to kind of finish some stuff off. I actually think they do this. I think they actually wipe out that cavalry unit that charged with the Wyvern, but they're in the flank, and the Wyvern is going to do all the work here really. But I think they certainly managed to do that. And I think they're going to get that light cavalry unit as well. So this is the point where Paul really sort of started leaning into Breakpoint a lot and started sort of wiping out my units. Because again, as you've said, he's not going to take the tower very easily.
No, he's
and because he unfortunately been forced to piecemeal units into it too much, he didn't really have anything left to do that.
I mean, it's impressive, like from looking at this game state here right now, that you generally think, he says he comes close to challenging you, because it looks really bad for him actually.
Well, the one thing that definitely, and definitely not to take away from Paul at all. Like one of the things that this army does rely on, as in the Cathay army, is just throwing bodies at things, and whether you like it or not, that's going to rank up your breakpoint. Even with a 14, you're not feeling that strong about it.
No.
So it was definitely still at this point. I'm starting to sweat a little bit because I'm seeing those numbers of units getting wiped out, and by the end of this turn, I was definitely starting to worry. The last turn was very, very nerve-wracking, and we'll get onto that as we go through, because there were no easy choices.
No, that's cool.
Which is interesting, right up to the very last dice roll. So exactly, Elvis would have loved it. So, but so we've got. So let's see how we go here. So
he looks like he's doing spells there.
There's a whole, but there's like a sort of cabal of wizards. You can see them. The four circular stands just off behind
circular magic, going on. I mean, does he favouring Geralt here as a spell?
Yeah, there's a few different Geralts during the game. I think at this point,
was he favouring Wars?
At this point, it's Wars. And those Wars were pretty grim.
They go off on a 4+.
You see the dice he's putting down with the round with the circle.
That was a War.
They are Wars. There's 3 Wars on the table here, and they were incredible in terms of how much damage.
+1 attack per stand, isn't it?
I think the Wyvern gets it as well.
It
was grim. So that works with the Wolf Riders. To be fair, that really works well with the Wolf Riders.
They're green,
even the Wolves. So sadly, my poor cavalry is about to disappear, I think.
But you're buying time. Your statues are tagging that tower for some reason. That's important. There's some maiden in there you've got to get. I don't know. But you are tagging the tower and they're buying time.
I mean, I'm trying to think of a narrative. I kind of like the idea that Cathay march out to fight chaos as we did to start with, bumped into a witch hunter army straight away, which is exactly what happened. Kind of killed those guys, retreated back, and got ambushed by Orcs and Goblins on the way. Because
Cathay's very in vogue at the moment, because they're like Total War Warhammer 3 is going to do Cathay.
I can feel my hipster gene twitching.
And it's they've showcased some really cool stuff.
Look at that. That's painful. Those poor cavalry.
Boom, they're gone.
As a side note, this is the only game where I broke some of my models as well.
Oh,
I know, it's all right. They were easy fix. These models are all mine, and I have to plug them because they're amazing. These were all by Cromarty Forge, and they're all using the Samurai Ratman models, and they are absolutely incredible. They really, really are. And John is such a lovely guy. He actually gave me as a thank you for basically saying how awesome his army were, but also as a thank you or as a congratulations for winning the game. He's made me a custom Tatsu from the range, because the Celestial Dragon doesn't have a rider.
Right, okay.
Your dragon is the actual dragon itself.
Yeah.
So he's made me a Tatsu, which is the Nippon dragon, without a rider. So I'm painting that up as we speak.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
So I have a truly spectacular centerpiece.
So John, when we say John, Cromarty Forge is run by a guy, is a guy called John, and he was playing at this event. It's
really nice to meet him.
So, and going forward, I invited Cromarty Forge to be like the official sponsors, first sponsors of the LGT. So which he loved, which he was pleasure enough for him accepted. So if we come up with scenarios that need specific things, we're going to go to him first to ask him, can you make that thing, and can you then make it in the numbers that we need it, or at a rate, what price can you do it for? It's fantastic. I mean, it's great. It's great that he's a player, and that he's there and playing the game he loves as well. as well as as in showing off like, okay, this. It's just cool. It's like his story. He's a lovely bloke, and his story is uplifting. Yeah, let's say that.
So just catching up there, that's 5 units Terracotta I've lost now, and all 4 units of cavalry, so that's 9 off my. That leaves me with 5.
Yeah.
Which is not so great, and we still haven't done some of the combat with other bits and pieces as well.
Yeah, okay.
So it's starting to rank up now.
Yeah.
With that was another big turning point. Like I kind of realised, you know what? I don't think I was like Cathay really going to do that much to them.
Yeah.
And then obviously not understood the power of the warg, literally. So that was a thing. So let's see where the rest of this goes. So with there's some light cav there which are really not going to enjoy life in a moment.
Yeah.
But let's have a look.
Okay, yeah.
Crucially, the goblins there are just enjoying life.
Yeah, they're having a good game. You know, like
I'm surprised that, if memory serves, I think I'd said to Paul, at least one of these, like, don't bother rolling it on the light cav. They're probably dead. Like, but they're carrying wound or something anyway.
Yeah.
I think, but there we are.
So Paul's clock has just broken 20 minutes. So neither.
We were very close on this.
Long on the clock left.
Yeah, he was a touch faster than me.
The rules of the clock is that if you when it's your turn, you have to have at least a minute off the clock.
Well, that was a good save. If memory serves, double 5s there.
Yeah.
Boom!
And
that's another unit of Terracotta gone.
Oh, in he goes.
Yeah, and he goes.
He's going to commit.
I think this was where this might be where we had a rules query. So, if memory serves, I think we pause right now because this is the point where we were asking you whether Paul now has to do that combat next.
Ah, right, yeah.
So you'll see one of us touch a clock in a second. We'll have a quick check.
And
one of the nicest things about these conversations, there you go.
Pause clock.
So one of the nicest things about this was in between we both stopped, and every time we paused the clock and we kind of went, we'll wait for Paul to go over.
Yeah.
We both stopped and we were like, how's this going? It's quite nice, very English. How's this going, boy? It's bloody marvellous, yes.
Oh,
there you are, look at that. Rockstar himself turns up. You're going to disappear off and then go and resolve this. But yeah, the answer is Paul now has to resolve that combat next.
Obviously, I want to make sure I get everything correct on the top table on the final. I don't want anyone to feel like slighted at all or anything in terms of that's not the scene I want to like do.
No, 100%,
I was glad that I never had to make a rules query where it seemed to like really upset one of the players because
I don't think, to be fair, that didn't really happen.
Which is great.
Yeah, definitely that. So, these guys are about to go into the side of me here, and I think this was probably under pressure of clock or alternatively a misunderstanding, but this was definite, I think, misstep from Paul. Well, he certainly seemed to consider that. I know he kind of afterwards said, I wish I'd not done it in that order. I wish I'd done the combat against the light cav first, because those guys going into there without too much support. Although I say that, I couldn't honestly tell you how well this goes. So it may well be they wipe out the Terracotta and it wasn't an issue. I remember at the time you kind of went, I wish I hadn't done that, but let's roll it. Once you've made your clarification. Whether they bounce, I don't think they do. I think they do a bit more than you might expect. But yeah, they're chopping away. But again, it's those two lonely units of Boar Boys off to one side, which really helped me here, not being able to do anything.
Yeah, I see. So those are the two units behind the Wyvern, which is right there. Yeah, it's right, and they're stuck waiting.
Yeah, they are stuck waiting, which was useful. Those, I'll leave it as a nice surprise for you. I won't ruin too much, but my archers will get their revenge shortly. So that's fine. Or I say revenge, nothing's really hurt.
So that's me holding the book on the bottom right of the screen there, like because making sure, like the question is the order of combats.
Yeah,
and like with most things, my gut tells me the answer straight away.
Well,
but then it's like, right, let's show the evidence of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, and I think what Paul and I were both doing in the meantime while you were doing this is, I know Paul was doing slightly off camera. He's just putting together his units to save time later on, so you can see what his breakpoint is at. Because this is where it started to become really important. Because I'm starting to rapidly run out, and I'm asking him the same thing. Yeah. Because what's interesting is he changed the paradigm of the game. So whereas before I kind of I've got this from scenario points. It seems fairly strong to me that I'm going to win this over time. As soon as Paul started focusing on my breakpoint and it started ramping up, I'm like, okay. Paul, what's your breakpoint at?
Yeah.
Because at this point, it almost doesn't matter what I'm controlling with the tower.
Yeah.
I need to try and survive, and the best defense is offense.
Yep.
In this case, which is, I always had an old thing back in my War Machine Scorn days. My rule is I don't always know what my opponent does, but if I kill everything you have, you probably can't win.
You probably can't do it anymore, can you?
You probably can't beat me.
Yeah,
so if I just go with that as a tactic, then that's
Yeah.
probably the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, Scorn is slightly different to Cathay in the sense
Yep.
that everything is some sort of nutter with a massive sword and a t-shirt. But
Yep,
the point
yep.
is that Cathay is more like you've got a bow and many friends. But,
Yeah.
but that's kind of where I started coming from. It's like, well, if I sit back and let you just slam into me and hope to win on scenario points, that's not going to work.
Yeah, you know, like
So-
it's part of that. What you're describing there is the initiative of the game in terms
Yeah,
of like
momentum.
You are proactive. You're enforcing your will on the opponent of what you're doing.
And I had to try and break Paul's basically because he
Yeah.
was a lot of the momentum, especially when you're playing a horde army. A lot of the momentum is on your opponent,
Yeah.
and that's it. So are we back onto clock?
I haven't seen anyone tap that.
No,
clock.
no, not just yet.
Yeah,
we
just
we were good at discipline. It was just a case
it's
of waiting
fine.
for you.
It's
to
fine.
fire
I mean,
from.
like it's it's fine. Like
It's the sort of thing where we shouldn't really normally pause, but again, final it's always important.
it's fine. You've got to get it right. You got it. Yeah, you want everyone to be happy with how it comes
I think
out.
we are. We're a bit cheeky here, Paul.
I didn't know. Let you rolling stuff off the clock. Never mind. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Might work it out in a minute.
Yeah.
Shame on us both.
Oh well.
Well, we both get a dice roll.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
It's not like Paul got to do his attack off the clock and then we went from there. I think Paul actually, due respect to him,
There he goes. He's remembered it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gave him 10 seconds there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just us checking it's actually working.
Yeah, because those clocks, like they bleep on the second.
Yeah, we hit reset halfway through in the game, Paul. It's weird. No.
Oh, what? Like, wow, no way.
I think I remember that happening at some War Machine event I was at once.
Really?
Like the players accidentally managed to do it. It was a
Getting
relatively
that wrong.
it was kind of like a low table-ish thing, but I think but yeah, so it wasn't that much of a concern. But yeah.
It's fine. Like
Look at again another one of those dice rolls.
What I didn't have at the event was somebody paused the clock to ask me a question or whatever and forgot to restart it, and thus that became an issue.
Yeah, that's
that never happened once. So
it looks like this has done some damage, and again, units following on from doing that is bad. Like, you can see me trying to shuffle all this stuff around. This was actually quite interesting watching how this works as well.
Yeah.
Because somehow
somebody got confused there?
The chariot unit.
Chariot got confused. Yeah.
Chariot unit got put. They made way for the for the Terracotta.
Oh, because your stuff's in line, isn't it?
Yes. So.
Yeah. Stands are getting crushed.
Yeah. Yes, this was quite interesting actually. Sort of understanding the resolution on how models you move in.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting. So, and obviously what's in combat, what's not, and so on. So yeah, that's quite good.
Oh, man. Just watching this game, I love Warmaster. It's great.
So yeah, and this is me kind of going, so they just go straight forward. I thought they had to bunch up on X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
But again, notice that we've lost a stand here from those guys.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Fair play to him. He is trying. He's trying.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well,
definitely trying
at this
to
point,
get
and at this point again, there was a real focus around. I know how to. He was sniping off units. It wasn't kind of I'll just throw things at bodies and try and make these things work that way.
Yeah.
There was a real intelligent focus of this is slight change because there was actually a couple of units in there.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So we had to move it around slightly. But there was a real focus around all right, so where are your half units? I'll take those out.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's exactly what we need to do.
Those half, good. Yeah, it's like hunt the half units down to like get full scores on the table. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exactly what he's clarifying now. And then we lose a unit because obviously that's that. So and then we're going to keep on going again. But this is the turn, if memory serves, where I think Paul basically tried to break me. This is Paul's last turn.
Yeah, it looks like it.
This is Paul's last turn, and this is where he really had to do it, and he got me down to 1 doing this. So you saw the light cav. The light cav chomp through my cav.
Yeah.
And this is obviously doing some damage here to my poor terracotta units. You're going to see at least one of those. I think that light cav unit's going to disappear into red mist, and I'm pretty sure one of the other ones is going to take a bit of a kick in, because I think he's even committed his general at this point.
Fantastic.
Well,
it would be great to have him on camera here.
Oh,
hearing his story.
So the other thing that really helped me here was this unit of Boar Boys. He says, pointing at the screen, no one else can see, but the one that's just in between his arms now as he measures.
Yep.
They failed their order.
Oh.
So that's the other thing that saved me.
How were his orders in the game? Do you remember?
His orders are pretty good.
It's pretty good.
His orders are pretty good. He got stuck with the Boar Boys. I think I'm going to say on turn 3.
Yeah.
Not in a truly dramatic way. One of them couldn't charge anyway.
Yeah.
And then the other ones kind of found themselves sort of failing their charge, so they kind of found themselves hanging out in those fields up the top.
Yeah.
Presumably the Boars were too busy dumping or something in the field. But other than that, he was generally pretty good, except for that one failed order, I think. 'Cause by the point he got to here, most of my stuff is in the middle, ready for initiative charge. So it wasn't too much of a
just
concern.
standing there and going to take
the Boars were the only things that were a real.
So that was an intact unit of Boars.
Yeah.
Was it that he would have was in range to charge?
And they would have realistically been looking at the Light Cav, I suspect. I mean, they could have obviously gone into some of the Terracotta, but it's a bit dicey as to what they could have potentially done in there, I think.
But still, if he got you down to one break and he had a unit of Boar Riders that failed to charge,
the issue with them is they needed an order.
Yeah, they were out of initiative range.
Yeah, and that's the key thing. I deliberately kept myself away from those as much as I could.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because
is this still Paul's turn? Yeah,
this is all Paul's turn. This is all resolving his combat.
Yeah.
So it looks like, did his unit get killed by mine? I think they must have, because they're not on the table. I must admit, I'm slightly hazy on this bit.
Yeah.
It looks like I've reformed away from it all.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that they got killed.
You've still got 2 units touching the tower, so it's still going to score
1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's just a quick count up, see what you've done, which is it's grim.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. So what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11 there. So down to 3 at this point.
3, right.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So he carries on. He's going to
now, fortunately,
those Light Cav.
Yeah. Fortunately for Paul, or unfortunately for Paul, there's no halves there because again he's eliminating them so well. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you count past Sherwin. Just double check. Yeah, so I've lost. I'm down to 3. We'll make some dice rolls, but I don't think I've ever made a Light Cavalry save in this game. 6s.
You wouldn't make many of them.
I don't expect to. To be truthful, anytime I ever make any saves of this, I'm like, really? Okay, well, fair enough.
That's good. Yeah.
Like armor costs money. People don't.
I just assumed you were dead.
Kind of, yeah. Again, armor costs money. People don't in this army,
it's
just what it is. Yeah.
Oh, look at Sharon rack his dice up nicely. Yeah, there we go. That's how I count. I'm
it literally is how I count.
It's boom.
I'm a very simple creature. So I have to hit forward if memory serves.
Yeah, you always strike forward.
So
you have only characters can decide where they go. That's one of the benefits of the flexibility of sticking characters in units.
You notice that Light Cav, despite the fact that they're feeling good about life being Light Cav, they've been flanked, so that's not going to help them.
It's not going to. Yeah,
if they indeed survive at all, which I don't think they did.
I think there's enough tax on them to wipe them out.
Yeah, I think they're dead.
Yeah, they're coming off the table and going into Sherwin's dead pile.
Unit, so that's down to breakpoint 2 now.
Ooh.
Yep, starting to look a bit dicey, and unsurprisingly, that's the unit with the general in it.
That one there, he's dealing with now. So he's
Boys.
got Orc Boys, General, Ward.
Yeah, so this is the one.
But he can't chase you.
No, and I think this is the thing that. Yeah, so at this point he's trying to work out whether things want to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
So this I think
down
about
to 12 minutes.
So this is I believe he's about to bounce.
Right. Yeah.
So we did a little bit of shooting at you.
Yeah, because you stand on fire. Yeah.
Which I think. Oh, actually,
he's done some casualties.
Yeah,
it looks like a 1.
I mean, I'm not really. Yeah. So these guys are just dropping back, so he doesn't get murdered. That's a single unit on its own.
Yeah.
I think, if memory serves, I think I actually missed a relatively straightforward order charge in the last turn as well, which I'd be interested to see if it happened.
Yeah.
Which probably made this a touch less. Would have made things a touch less scary than it needed to be.
Yeah.
But I know at the end of this he was down to breakpoint 1. So at this point, Paul is down to after this his turn had finished. He had basically 1.
Yeah.
Because he had enough half units and other stuff, and I just need to find something to 1. Yeah, 2 I think. I remember. No, sorry, 1.5. Something like that. I know I need to find 1 unit basically to kill.
Dice roll is going on. Oh, it would be so cool to have him here, like to chat, like what's going through his mind at the moment. Yeah. All right. Sherwin rolls the dice on the goblins.
Yeah, that's good.
Nice.
Treat them with respect. Treat those goblins with respect. That's
marking some. Is that it? One casualty?
Oh no, these are D8s.
Oh,
so
right, okay.
Numbers on them, so you can't tell what the number is.
Can't tell what the number is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way you could come away with just one casualty from that.
No, it really wasn't.
You know.
Although he did fluff his dice quite spectacularly, if memory serves.
Yeah.
So I think he remembers swearing about his general at the time. So,
but it's good. I do like that he's committed his general. That is fantastic.
Well,
that's what I like to see. That's what I like to see.
So yeah, so you've got one stand there. I think they only lost one stand.
Is that it? Oh, Sherwin, you got away with that.
I absolutely did. One stand each. So I think there was a draw.
Yeah, I'll see. That's you. Yeah, you're both making your rolls for full back. One of you's moving first.
Yeah, and that's
Well, he couldn't have chased you
No.
if he had one. So, but he needed to do more damage. Basically, he needed that hasn't scored you. That hasn't scored him anything.
And it's not a charge. Is the other thing. So. Yeah, he was rolling 12 dice.
Was that an advance or was that
an advance?
That was an advance. So
he's rolling 12 dice.
4/12 plus generals at least 2. 14 should be 7 hits.
Yeah, but then you've got maybe lose a couple for that. He should have got 2 stands on average.
Yeah, should have.
Fluffed slightly under average and ended up killing 1 and then leaving somebody left over.
Yeah.
Those cav moved to there. Interesting thing that happened here now, because he's left me with, if he kills 1, he's left me with breakpoint 1.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I am, because of bits and pieces. So at this point, it's now my turn. So Paul, being the gentleman he is, like, I'm kind of looking at this going, oh, initiative charge. Oh, I could send that light cav unit into the side of that unit I just killed. Oh, yeah. So let's see where we go with this, because there's a few things that are going to happen now. For a start, you're going to see the most glorious set of chargings ever from those crossbowmen.
Are they gonna go kinetic? Are they gonna go forward?
The crossbowmen are lethal creatures.
Oh, look at you checking the flanks.
Yeah.
What is that unit there you're going at?
Wolf Riders.
Wolf Riders. Yeah.
Look at this. It's
In
glorious.
we go. For the Dragon Emperor, well, that's what they would probably shout. A bit of shooting, come back. Definitely missed.
Yeah, definitely.
Send in some more. He'd get another dice there. He didn't forget it, and he missed again. Good shooting from the goblins.
Fact. Yep. So now you're going to see some more sensible thing. Look at that, another flank. Oh yeah. This is how you do it like a pro.
Oh, you sandwich them.
Oh, it gets better.
That'll do it. So one stand was in range there while the others weren't, and they go into the front.
So I think in memory serves, just having to quickly sort them out into maximise frontage. So that they basically have to be lined up. I'm about to tidy that one up now.
Yeah.
So that unit's probably dead.
Yes.
We never actually rolled that one.
No, you wouldn't need to, I don't think. Because
we don't actually resolve that at all.
Your crossbowmen are 2 dice, aren't they?
They're
weak, but that's 3, 6, 9,
yeah,
12, 15, another at least 17 dice.
Yeah, when bread and money you can follow if you're doing it. It's enough. So at this point, this is the one where I was like, I could charge you in the side, and then immediately got very worried. But if nothing else can charge you in the front, then I am screwed. So Paul, I kind of said, okay, let's charge inside. And actually, let's not, if you're all right with that, Paul. And kind of just
I'll take that back.
Yeah, we were both very gentlemanly about this.
That's cool. This is you're showcasing the game well. Yeah, look at you. You're definitely thinking about it.
Well, they went in at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's do this. Yeah. And then suddenly went, do you know what? If my because I'm looking at this, and unfortunately, the Chariots, which want to go in, aren't in initiative range. They're going to require an order. So if I charge into here and bounce and then get killed.
I see. Right. Okay.
Oh, for those people wondering, one of the breakpoint I've got on there is one of my rocket launchers are blown up at this point.
Okay.
Which is that single stand on its own in front of the 2 cavalry units, which is 1 breakpoint to me.
Right. Okay.
Which is why the other one got orders not to fire.
Not to fire.
I read about now. I actually moved them ready to shoot, and they went, whoa! What am I doing?
You don't. Yes, you don't have to shoot your weapons. That's not a. You may shoot. So you don't have to fire the dangerous artillery. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they're still going to get an order in a minute, but there we go. So I can't remember if I actually moved them back or whether I would just braved it up and left them there. But that's me. This was the thing. So these guys went in, and if memory serves, went, you know what? that's not what I want to do.
No.
Right. Yeah, that was like a.
This is interesting because, like,
Yeah.
you know, analysis paralysis. You're like,
Oh, 100%,
you guys are like, you've got less time and not much time on the clock, but each move is taking. You're thinking about it a lot more.
Well, there's a rules query happening here somewhere.
Oh, do you remember what that one was about? Like,
I really don't.
Yeah. That's fair. Yes, this is about initiative.
Yes, actually, they can't initiative charge.
They
That's
can't
why
that was it, because they can see the goblins.
Yeah.
That's not a legal charge for them to do because it's a wood, but
So
it doesn't
therefore,
mean they get to go somewhere else.
Yeah, so that's what brought them back.
Yeah,
that's it. It's not a
In fact, it was an illegal move. Like it's something you can't do. You can order it, but yes, I actually remember that as well. Yeah, it's like actually they can't do it. Yeah.
Which is interesting because because you kind of get tunnel vision, I completely forgot the goblins even existed.
Yeah, because they lived in the woods there.
So at this point, I'm now starting to get quite worried about that single lone unit that's charged into those orcs that survived last round, but probably isn't necessarily going to have a good time.
What is it again? 2 stands of Orc boys with a general?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah, so what?
3
You've
on the
got
sides.
8 dice back thereabouts?
Yeah, 8 dice, yeah. It's not a guarantee, is it? Like
No.
from your cavalry are 2 attacks, so they're going to roll 6 to 8 dice.
Exactly it.
Yeah, averages say you lose that fight.
Yeah, exactly. So that's an interesting one. Anyway, yes, I think my existing Light Cavalry, I'm not sure if they're going to sort of initiative evade away.
As Light Cavalry, they could go in any direction.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so these guys, they're about there-ish. At that point, it's like, let's not do that because that's insane.
That's insane.
Because that's not the most tactical sound decision.
Does your Light Cavalry have 360 line of sight?
Only for shooting.
Only for shooting, yeah, cool. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so they can do all sorts of stuff there. They're basically exactly the same as the Wolf Boys.
Yeah.
So there's actually the charge that I missed here is there's actually a terracotta charge on some Light Cav, which could have done a single stand of Light Cav as well, which is around where this Goblin Cabal is. I kind of missed it because it's surrounded by goblins, shamans, like a herd of them. So I kind of missed that. And also, it's worth pointing out one of my chariot units is actually confused.
Oh, okay. That's what that black circle is. Yeah.
Yeah. So these guys are marching forward.
Oh, look at them live their lives. Well, they've already lived their lives. They're statues.
Look at them.
Look at them like automatons walk forward.
So these guys move forward. And memory says I think they failed their next command.
Yeah, that would be a difficult one. Like, the
dice
dice aren't with you.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about enemy near, but they are. But they are doing their thing. Yep. So they're just going to drop up.
You're trying to get them to touch still.
Yeah, so they're still touching.
That makes
and
sense.
Then they're about to get another order, which memory says fails. I think. Or are they going in? Yep.
That looks like a fail.
That wasn't the best result.
Yeah.
Time for the chariots, the big one. Yep, they're going in.
Boom. That was probably the order of the game.
Yeah, that was absolutely the order of the game.
Yeah. Now it's 15 dice against 6.
Yeah. So that was And then these guys are still touching the tower. Apparently, it's important.
That's what you're gonna do.
So these guys are now getting an order.
Yeah. Try and throw them in now to commit.
Yep. Because my general was here. So they're not
interesting because here it's like you could have you could have done that initiative move of moving those light cavalry into their flank, but then you're relying on the chariots to come in and pass the order.
That's exactly what
so you chose not to do that. You chose to order the chariots and do it, making yourself roll another set of dice.
Yeah.
But you're missing. Yeah, this is resource management here. Like this is danger mitigation of like, well, if that fails at that stage.
And here's the most pointless order of the game: moving the artillery closer.
Yeah.
Move the artillery closer.
What are they going to shoot at?
I'm looking at a bunch of. There's actually an Orc Wolf Rider stand I'm looking at. Oh yeah, look at that. And then right about now, you're going to realize we pick up a dice and then go, whoa, let's stop. And there we are. Suddenly, and what am I doing? I was actually trying to work out what's closest.
Yeah.
And then, and wait. Yep, line of sight.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good.
Clearly.
Line of sight. Although you don't actually need it because you can always stone for us. You can roll 6s, and then suddenly realise what am I doing?
Yeah.
No, let's not be doing that. So move those guys.
Oh, that was a lucky order because it's at least a -2.
Yeah, they actually moved out of the way because they didn't want them to get killed. That was their plan because they're obviously not feeling so vulnerable as everybody else.
Who have you committed
at this point,
into their show?
if memory serves,
lion character.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the yeah, that's my hero on his tiger.
Mm-hmm.
My general's more of a sort of administrator.
Yeah, as most Warmaster generals tend to be. Like, you know.
Well, actually, my hero, as unsurprisingly, my hero has like a lot more attacks.
Yeah.
Thrown in the mix. So yeah. So at this point, I actually need 1.5 if memory serves.
Yep.
So I actually need both of these two combats to go. But because the one's got the general in it, we rolled that one first.
Yeah, because
I need both of them anyway. But if I kill the general,
that's going to finish the game. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that and there's the artillery shot. And no, let's not do that.
Yeah.
And that's dicey. Let's not be doing that.
Let's not give you the final like that way.
That's the glorious way of doing it. And bang. You win.
Yeah. I blew myself up. Oh, that was
death by indecision. Yeah,
not the way to give the title away.
There's some shooting at some goblins, which I don't think I actually do, because what's it going to achieve?
Not unless nothing at this stage really. Some spell.
Yeah, spell. It's basically give them extra attacks.
Yeah.
Which actually, if memory says, I think
that was a scorn die. That was a scorn.
Yeah, that was a scorn, and the chariots all get 1 extra attack each.
Oh, so now they're rolling. That's going to be 18 plus the characters. What, 2?
3.
3. 21. Yeah.
Well, 4 for the character.
Oh, 4. Right. Oh, 22.
Yeah.
Against the poor orcs. 4 and their
also
general.
Fearless, but not that's a concern.
They are going to get smashed.
Yeah, that's me just double checking to make sure my spell list is done. I'd given my list to Paul because it's a new army, so I didn't want anyone to get confused.
No, it's perfect. Right. There you go. Sherwin counting his dice for the combat.
Yeah, we were to roll this one because as much as it feels like it could be a bit brutal, like it made sense to actually roll them all. There's a lot to roll here.
Oh no, you'd have to roll this one. Yeah, there's the title on the line here.
Yeah,
and it's match point.
There's quite a few. I don't know if I got around to rolling all of them or whether Paul just went, you know what, let me roll some because there's enough here that you need to roll a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a stellar roll actually. My dice weren't super hot all game, to be fair, or event I should say, but they weren't really bad.
Okay,
so they were slightly below average, I think. That's it.
Game. Yeah,
wiped out the unit.
Yeah, because of poor. So at that point, Sherwin has broken Paul. Gives him another 4 score, and you're saying in scenario wise that ended 9-1.
9-1.
Good game.
Yeah, it was, but that score really doesn't tell the story of it. The Paul was so if we look at this board as it is here, and this is pretty much what I'm saying to Paul here. He was very unlucky on that flank that I managed to hold up those boar boys. Very unlucky on that flank. I managed to hold up those 2 boar boy units. Take those away, and he chomped his way through my archers and made his extra breakpoint needs there. Because obviously that's where I managed to move around the tower. The actual first turn he moved his Wolf Riders right into contact with the tower.
Right. Okay.
I had managed to push them away with a Terracotta charge, which obviously couldn't follow up. Which we had the staggages for those. I did catch some Wolf Riders with a couple of cavalry charge on the top.
So that's where he got his 1 point.
So that's where we kind of broke him away from that. Then the Terracotta units and the others just sort of swamped around the tower after that, and my scores started going up. In the meantime, the lucky bit I really managed to do was, again, halt the advance of those boar boys and his failed order on the other boar boys to stop him from coming in, which is obviously key. And then, there's a couple of fluff combats here and there, like the general and the orcs failing to kill the unit of Light Cav, which he committed. I mean, you could say he might have had to spike that one up, but it wasn't an average roll, certainly. And then again, and then basically, this is you clarifying the points. But then, basically just managing to finish off that. But what I liked the most about Paul's play, which was really smart, is the way that even though he was on the back foot, 'cause he was, just because of the scenario points ticking up, he still dictated where the direction of the game was going. He was in prime position to get me in the flank. When that stopped, he kind of switched gears very effortlessly So standard, how good a player he is. He switched gears to right. So now we're looking at breakpoint.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's very precise. It's like surgical strikes.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are your halves? How do I kill them?
Yeah.
How do I line this stuff up? Which is really, really smart, really strong play. And even right up to the end, even though he's obviously not controlling the tower in any way, shape, or form, he's dictating this is a breakpoint game now. You are losing breakpoint quicker than I am. Or certainly at the same pace as me. So he managed to change the focus of how this works.
Yeah.
And I was very, very, very impressed with just how the quality of player that does that.
Fantastic.
Because he was in it right to the very end. I said I finished on breakpoint 1. He finished on breakpoint. At that point he had 1.5.
Yeah.
Into that. We were both very, very close.
Yeah, it doesn't get much closer.
No. So yeah, really, really, really good play from Paul.
Fantastic.
So an amazing opponent. So he will absolutely beat me the next time. Don't
yeah, well, no, totally.
I'm sure of that.
So for LG, we've got a few minutes left on this thing. So for LG 22, tend to take Cathay again.
Do you know, it depends. I mean,
it's a while away.
It depends. I love playing the Cathay. I looked back. Funnily enough, I looked in the Warmaster Facebook group because I've always wanted to play a Cathay army. I remember talking to you about them. Ages back, my very first, before I even got my Albion army, which was my first, proper Warmaster army. And I talked to you about them. You go, there's not many models out there, and it's kind of a funky list that might not make it through the rules review, which it didn't. But I remember in 2014, I actually did a quick search. That's when I first posted the Warmaster group, and the first post I said was, are there any Cathay models out there? And so it feels nice 5 years later to then actually have an army.
Fantastic.
Which has been obviously reviewed and revised and so on. So they've definitely been an army I've always wanted to play. And I really do love them, and they're fun. I wanted to play them in this particular event because I was talking to Jim and basically said, I want to play Cathay, I've always wanted to play them, and he went, this is perfect because I need people to play test them. So this worked very well as a favour to Jim. Maybe Cathay, maybe Chaos Wars, depending on where they get to. Because I know I've been involved in some of the chats about potential switches to their list for the next thing.
That'll be.
I think they need a little bit of work, but I mean, that said, truthfully, I think Chaos Dwarves, they're a fairly solid army list as is. Most of it, actually, you need to reduce the complexity of the special rules. Just simply take away a couple of them, and suddenly they work, which I think works. Which also, I think works. Of course, I think it works. But I think that actually smooths them out and makes them quite nice. But otherwise, I can see me playing Cathay again. I mean, I'm still play testing for Jim. So, as I've already said, I've made revisions to this list, so when we actually get down to our testing and the end of life, I'll try that. And the other thing I haven't really used very much in this army is Iron Guts. So I want to throw those into the mix and see where they land.
I mean, I'd let myself down by not finishing a Skaven army for this event. And there wasn't a Skaven player, so I'll have to take Skaven. It's no question. Like if I end up playing or not playing, it's got to be Skaven.
So of all the armies I've played against with your with the Cathay army, the Skaven were 100% the most confusing to work out what they because of what you said, the uniqueness of their rules. They were the most confusing to go, how do I do this? What am I looking to achieve? Because they're so unique. And I think that's something which probably catches a lot of people out, especially like those cavalry heavy armies where they're used to being able to slam into stuff and then bounce away and go, you can't get me. Oh, well, you can.
You can.
That's not good.
I
know I know in that game you mitigated my light cav completely. Which was very strong, and it sort of completely defeated that tactic. So that's kind of fun.
Right. Anyway, so we will call it there. So thanks very much, Sherwin, for coming around and giving the commentary. Hopefully that comes across really good on the video and makes an interesting listen to it while you're watching the models go around. There's so much background noise going on at this kind of event. You can't pick up really good commentary or going on anyway of the game state. So hopefully that comes out as a good product, and in the future it would be great. It would be cool to get both players commentary on one. That would be
that'd
fun,
be cool.
And
also in a non-COVID world.
Because we're speaking about Paul here, like not knowing his mind. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks very much.